3 home invaders. They were teenagers. They were shot dead. So the Oklahoma victims, one of the victims' father is now complaining. And there's the thought of legal action because he is saying the AR-15 gave the homeowner an unfair advantage.
Oh, come on.
Yes. One could almost argue that that is the point of an AR-15. The whole purpose to a firearm is to create an unfair advantage because you know who has an unfair disadvantage their entire life? The woman. The disabled person, the smaller man, the person who's had their lunch money stolen, the person who would have no chance to protect life and limb and make sure that their family gets to continue for generations of their own, would it not be for modern weaponry? That's it's the great equalizer. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. The advantage that I want the homeowner to have over their home invaders is the advantage of being alive versus their corpse being dragged out the front door. I have no problem with it anymore.
Yeah.
And this is where, the left has lost their mind. They are now on the side of criminal. This is the idea of sympathy, of victim culture, right? Of the victim culture, but it was unfair, and so it hurt my son. Yeah, well, you know what? If you actually go along the trail with that victim culture, if you go along with that narrative, you create real victims, like homeowners, who now no longer have an unfair advantage. So what happens? They get raped, or their throat slit, or they get robbed. By the way, I'm okay with you being shot, even if your intent is just to rob.
Yeah.
Am I saying it's the ideal outcome? No. You break into somebody's house in the middle of the night, you forfeit your right to live. I just wanted some jewelry to buy some crack. I don't care. You're going to see my AR-15 in the house. You cannot separate. When people say, I'm against big government, I'm against this, but I'm for the free healthcare. You cannot separate authoritarianism. You cannot separate large state dependence from the right to self-preservation, from erring on the side of freedom. You don't get one without the other, and this is what you see with Germany. All right, you want to depend on us for everything? Well, guess what? You're not allowed to protect yourselves. You have to rely on our cops. By the way, all cops are racist. So as self-defense in Germany, the mildest means available is what's necessary to defend an attack. That means that one can't injure somebody more than necessary. That's what they're talking about in Germany. Again, if you're not erring on the side of freedom, if you're not erring on the side of personal responsibility and life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the Second Amendment, that's why it's so clear. If you don't draw a line and say, no, this is one of those things. Home invader, sorry, you forfeit your right to live. This person has the right to protect themselves. If it gets into gray territory, because we love, as the young Turks love to say, it's complicated. It's nuanced. Did that kid have a bad day? What was his education like? Did he have access to the charter schools? He didn't have access to the charter schools.
That's problematic.
No. It's a line in the sand. You're in my house. This is my house. This is my family. This is my stuff. You die now. Okay? Because if you get into the gray territory of Germany, well, guess what? Who decides what was the force necessary? Well, what if the guy shows up and it's not a real gun and it's a fake gun? What if the guy shows up and it's a knife and you have a gun? Well, technically you're using more force, but what if the guy has a knife and he's 6'5" and you have to be 5'3"? What if you're a little Jewish man in Germany and a big old strapping Aryan comes on it? Let's bring it home here. It's not like this is that far off from reality, right, Germany? Sorry. You don't get to screw up with all world wars and then come back and act as though you take the moral high ground. Well, no, we understand there's no more killing. We unlike you Americans, we don't kill our home invaders. Oh, really? What do you do? Well, we kill the Judens, but that's another thing that happens. I'm just so tired of it. I'm tired of these people acting as though they take the moral high ground, and this is so emblematic of the left. Why is the left, we have, in Nevada right now, leftist politicians pushing a law where they want you to be prosecuted. They want the criminal to have the right to prosecute, a home invader to have the right to prosecute. And it sounds silly, like, well, that could never happen. It's happened in Germany, in the UK, all over Europe. You have people right now who are doing time in prison. They're doing time in national prisons for defending their wives, their children, and their homes. And it is remarkable where I look at this, why do you separate it left versus right? Because, listen, I'm not a centrist at all, okay? There's center-left all the way to extreme right wing. And that is more reasonable than even the moderately kind of left wing of the Democratic Party today. I'm sorry, I'll say it. Because the super far right wing believes that you should have an AR-15, right? They believe you should have an AR-15, you should have the right to carry that without so much as a permit. I don't think that that is any more extreme. I think that is far more reasonable than someone who believes that a serial rapist should have the right, be entitled to a trial, a civil trial against you for blowing his head off. It doesn't require a moderate. I'm far right when it comes to that. And I am just dumbfounded that the left is so dead set against you maintaining your right as an autonomous human being, maintaining the right to protect your own life, whether it's supporting tacitly Black Lives Matter riots and looting, or resettling unvetted refugees who come with record crime in your neighborhoods. Either way, they vote for that. Or whether it's not directly trying to take away your right to guns, as you see with the Heller versus DC, where literally they were trying to argue that private citizens have no right to firearms whatsoever. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to give the criminal the right to sue you for invading your house. I'm sorry. If you're a moderate in the face of this, you haven't thought about these issues, son. This isn't one of those, well, I guess both sides. There is no both sides. Do you have the right to protect your and your life? Yes, no? Throw it out of court.